Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm here with my lovely co host, PK, all the way from Tucson. How are
You're
you?
the sweet talker, you. It is warm here today. It's in the 90s.
Whoa.
I know. And I love it. Sorry, but I love it.
I would too.
Oh, God.
Well, we were in up to 80 today, so
Oh, you show off.
yeah. Well, you know how horrible it's been here.
Yes, I
So,
do.
and now we're hopefully into summer. Praise God.
Wouldn't it be so nice? Oh, that's good.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was running and doing some grocery shopping today. It is. I'm going down to hear this little sound and I pulled into the gas station. Thank God. He said,
Oh,
"Oh, are you getting a flat?" And I said, "God, I hope not."
oh,
Some I must have hit something, but it dropped the air in the tire quite a bit. So
oh,
he was able to do something. So I went from there to Trader Joe's, my favorite place to go.
oh,
Unfortunately, I only jumped out. I only wanted rice crackers.
right.
And I came out with $270 later. I thought,
Isn't that
no,
something how that happens? I
they
swear
got
it's like a magic trick they do.
they had such great stuff today. And all the
See?
fruits and vegetables look so fabulous. Every oh, what can I say? I I'm a sucker for good looking food.
Oh, that's
Come a long
great.
way.
Yeah, really.
What's
Well,
what's
hey, I
Let's
know we
go.
got to talk about the numbers, but I wanted to share. I have another affirmation for everybody.
Oh, good.
So I wanted to share it because it's a fun one. You know, they say that sometimes abstract affirmations work better than the other
Mhm.
just regular sentences.
Right.
So here's a two-parter for everybody tonight. Money is knocking on my door,
Oh, I like that.
and I let money in.
I love that. Money is knocking at my door and I'm letting money in.
That's it.
Fabulous. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome,
After
welcome.
my trip to the grocery store, it couldn't have been a
Yeah,
better
see,
time.
you need it. You need this affirmation.
Oh,
But
God.
yeah, everybody can try it. I find those are very effective, and
Mhm.
money can come from anywhere.
That is
Doesn't have to come from just your salary. There's many different places that it can show up from. So money is knocking at my door, and I'm letting money in.
I love that
Yeah,
because I don't have a salary anymore. I'm just a little old lady just waiting in the corner.
that's right. That's right. We're both little old ladies now.
God. Well, the nice part about it is this month is just about over. It's all about family type situations and issues. Thank you, God, for letting it be just about over. My granddaughter just finished her freshman year of high school, and she invited a few friends over because they have a pool in their community. Well, my, her dad says, "Would you be there to take care of it?" So I said, "Sure." The car pulled up, the kids rolled out, and all of a sudden I'm seeing this parade of kids. 19 kids came in the door. I went, oh my
Hi.
God. She said, "Oh, it's just till we go to the pool." But I said, "When are you going to do that?" She said, "Oh, in about an hour. We're just going to sit and mellow for a while." I go, "Mellow?" And I thought, I'm going to have a breakdown. But the kids
Oh
were
my
just
goodness.
great. But yeah,
Oh, thank goodness.
but if it was really, it was eye-opening and mind-boggling, but nonetheless, it was really nice, and it's nice to see the kids get together like that. The girls and boys, they went up to the pool, swam, and then some of the parents came to pick them up. The rest stayed for pizza and whatever.
Oh,
And I thought, "Oh, that's the end of school. Thank you, God."
yeah. Thank goodness it worked out so well. She got
Oh,
to
it
have
was
fun with her friends, and everybody behaved themselves. That's always a
it's
plus.
a great group of kids. They were really
That's
very, very
nice.
nice and extremely courteous and well behaved. My goodness.
That's great. Oh, thank
Yeah.
goodness. Thank goodness. Oh, you don't
Oh,
need anything but goodness right now, right?
that's why I was on my knees praying just in case. No, it was really nice. And so they're so delightful. They're really
Oh,
very kind and outgoing, which is great.
that is great.
So
That
I
is
have
great.
been taking a look at things that we've got coming up, and
Yes.
I'm going to keep next month in hiding because it's going to be about changes that we're going to have to pay a little bit of attention to, but our spiritual side is going to go gangbusters. So, right now, just take a look at the last couple of days of May, which is all about family type situations and doing things for and with the family, which I just did. So
Yes.
get ready for this next adventure because it's about learning, teaching, and spirituality. Can't beat that.
Oh gosh. Well, we have a lot of things coming. And so interesting that you brought this up. I was just reading a post from our dear friend William Stickevers, the great
Oh, yes.
astrologer.
He's a
Will be
doll.
on our show at the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
And he put out a post about President Trump was just apparently briefed completely on UAP UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. And as we know, many presidents are not briefed like that. They
No.
are partially briefed. Some get more than others. We heard Clinton got
Mm-hmm.
very little. Nixon had a lot of information. And now what we're hearing is Trump got all of it. So I think he may be the one to really start telling us what's going
I think
on. Not that we didn't know. I mean, let's be honest. You know, we've known for all of our lives, you and I, about
but
what's been going on. We don't
they're
know the
finally
deep dark.
admitting it. That's the
Yeah,
difference. They're finally
yeah,
admitting
exactly. And we didn't know the deep dark
it.
secrets
Mm-mm.
of the government and the shadow government. We know that they existed. We knew they were up to stuff. We knew there were facilities deep underground, alien bodies. That is not news to us,
No.
but
And
it's interesting stuff.
I think so many people have wanted to believe it, but have been afraid to believe it. And some
Right.
of the things that they've shown over the last few years, that's the only thing really made any common sense. You could see what was going on up there, but 2/3 of the people were afraid to say, uh-huh. They're not coming to get us. Maybe exchanging is a wonderful adventure if that be able to take place.
That would be nice. And it would be nice for all of the people who reported their experiences to be honored for the courage it took to do that. That they weren't
Definitely.
making it up. You know, some
No.
of the big celebrities in this field, like Travis Walton, who took a lot of flack for that. There are very few that didn't get that kind of terrible
True.
treatment. I
They
think Carl
really did.
Higdon, Carl was one of the very few that was accepted by his entire community in town. They believed him. They said if Carl said it happened, it happened. That was it.
Isn't that
So
nice to be believed that much?
yeah, he was blessed that
Excellent.
way, I'll tell you. But anyways, and by the way, there's a great book out about Carl Higdon. We had Laura Ranger, the author, on the show several months ago. Be sure to get it. The story's incredible. So
Yes.
let's see, is our guest ready to come on the air with us, guys? You know, we've had some technical challenges. So
She's
where are
got
we?
so much to share with us about
I
stones.
know.
and
We've
such.
got, she speaks to these crystals. They speak back to her. We got to find out what's going on.
They definitely do. I've never met anyone that was as knowledgeable about stones. I've known her for a good number of years, and it always surprises me that I'll come up with something. I think, oh, what's this? And I get a complete.
She's got it. She's got it going on.
Definitely.
And she also owns the Mystic Cavern Metaphysical store that is also in Tucson with you.
Yes, it
right?
is. It's in Tucson, and they also have a metaphysical fair once a month.
Oh.
And bring in all types of readers as well. And they do have additional readers there at different times. So it's a one-stop shop if you're really looking for stuff. She has a great array of stones and such there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I get mesmerized by it. I walk around and I'm still a little kid. I have to touchy-feely everything.
Well, you and I are the same when it comes to gems and jewelry. I mean, we both love it. So I think our guest is ready to come on the show. So we've been talking about her. She's extremely talented. She speaks crystal language and they speak back to her. We want to know how she does this. And we also want to know all about the stones that she has prepared to show us tonight and the power of them. And there she is. Welcome, Cynthia Rodig. Welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me now, finally.
We can. Crystal clear.
Awesome.
Gorgeous.
Yes, crystal clear. Got to get some quartz rolling here.
Yes, we do. So, Cynthia, tell us how you fell in love with crystals. How did that happen?
Well, probably when I didn't even know it. As my dad tells me, when I was about 18 months old, he parked me by the side of the car when he was helping my mom into the car, who was pregnant with my sister at the time. And by the time he came back, I had these big chipmunk cheeks. And he was like, "What do you have in your mouth?" And little by little, like, pleh, 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 the little stones came out.
Oh my
So
goodness.
technically, that's probably the first time.
That's the beginning.
Yeah, that was the beginning. I do not remember that, but they do, and they love telling that story. And
Oh,
but
how cute.
probably the first time that I was, cognizant of the stones and everything. Of course, living in Arizona, we have a lot of granite in this valley here, and root or garnets come out of granite. They erode out, and the ones that are here are almost microscopic. They're teeny tiny. They come down in the washes, and they call them sand rubies. And so back in those days, there was no Home Depot or anything. If you wanted sand for a sandbox, you went out to the wash and you sifted out the sand, brought it back and put it in. Well, that's when my mom also showed me about sand rubies. And they're little tiny little garnets, and some of them were totally perfect little garnets, not just chips, but perfect little ones formed in the sand. So at 3 or 4 years old, I spent many hours in the sandbox with a bottle and a pair of tweezers for
Oh,
hours.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And
That's
so
great.
it just always kind of grown from there. Always was a kid with the head to the ground, looking for things, finding things, piles of rocks everywhere outside, because was not allowed to bring them in the house. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, so they stayed outside. And growing up, also, like I said, in Arizona, we had a lot of copper mines around us. And what they do is to stop erosion in the washes and stuff. When the big monsoon rains come through, they throw what's called riprap down on the sides of the washes. Well, let me tell you, the riprap out of copper mines is nothing but copper minerals. So chrysocolla, all kinds of things. So yes, even
Oh.
more rocks we dragged home.
Oh my
I
goodness.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it was always the first ones to get to the rock piles. The kids in the neighborhood where we lived was mostly mining families. And so it was always a race. The rocks came again, and, hordes of kids up there. And so anyway, so that continued things on. And then, of course, Tucson is also the home of the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, as this huge thing where you can buy all kinds of things. But also the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society was founded over 70 years ago, and we put on an annual show. And I say we because now I'm a member, but as a child, I always made sure I was on the field trips and that my parents took me, and every year I would go to the gem show and just look at all the rocks, all the things, save my pennies all year long. And my room finally filled up with specimens. And so it's just been a thing forever. And, but
Wow.
really, yeah, I mean, they're everywhere in my house.
Yes,
Well,
they-
and look at how popular everything is now with crystals.
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
everybody wants to know about them, how to use them, how to work with them,
right.
how to
Yeah.
clean them, but you know how to talk to them, which is
Yes,
very
and
different.
yeah,
And
it's
they
very
talk back.
different. Oh, yes, they do. Let me tell you.
Please tell
crystals,
us.
the crystals are kind of interesting because the different species, and I say species because quartz is a species and obsidian is a species, and they're all different ones, and they all have different ways of communicating. And some of them are very blunt and to the point. Others can be a little more chipper, but they're all different. Some are very curmudgeonly, like fluorite. Sometimes they drive me
Huh,
nuts. I'm like,
really?
hello, anybody home? And they'll just sit there and stare at you sometimes.
Oh
But
my goodness.
they're crazy. So, but what happened to finally bridge the gap of, sorry, you'll have to excuse me, but my allergies are killing me. So
Oh,
we have to visit the
Good
Kleenex
lady.
now and then. But it was, but the actual part when I could actually start hearing them and talking to them started about 10 or 12 years ago. I was getting ready to go do a whole expo, which is a whole metaphysics, wellness, all kinds of things in Durango, Colorado. And I was staging all of the boxes to load on the truck. And I'm walking down the hall to go find something else. And all of a sudden I hear, I'm not going and you can't make me. And I'm like,
Like a
what?
child.
Yes. And I'm like, excuse me, who's talking to me? And then I hear this giggle and it's like, I am, come get me out of the box. And I'm like, no, you guys are going to Colorado. I said, how I have to pay the way here. You're going to help me pay the way and you're going to go home with somebody else. No. And they said, and it kept saying no. And it was like a child arguing with me. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm even talking to a rock. Are you kidding me right now? And it was so insistent that finally I said, all right, all right. I said, but that flat, there's 18 of you in there. How do I know which one I'm talking to? So I get this image, like third eye image. It just came in my head. I just see it. And it's like, this is what I look like. And I'm not going, I'm staying home. Okay. So I get down to the box and I open the box and there's 2 of them in the box that look like the image. And I said, okay, left hand or right hand? Which one of you is talking to me? And then I hear this, they're so silly. Then they start laughing. Ha ha ha. You have to take both of us because we're not telling.
Oh, they are something else. Oh my gosh.
I know. And I'm like, you guys, really? Fine. Okay. So I took them out of the box. And it turns out that they wanted to be part of something that I had been thinking about doing, but hadn't really got together because, I'm always a mile a minute around here. But what they wanted to do was I was working on getting so I do Reiki and all of this type of thing too. And so what it was is I was going to make my 5-minute chakra bowl. So I had all these little stones in there, and then using the Reiki, I can feel where people are closed off or if they're too open compared to everything else, or too hot, too cold. Like this was a 5-minute chakra. So people could just get a real quick adjustment, not like a full thing. Well, what these 2 little pieces of crystal like to do is they like to pull what I call the central cord, the as above, so below. It's that cord, you connect from above to the earth. And what they like to do is be in my hands when I'm pulling that energy through the person. And I know when it's working and when they're doing their thing, because the person, once I give them sort of what I call the remedy for what's ailing them with their chakras, they have to hold it at the heart chakra and they stand up because it's a 5-minute thing. This isn't a full deal. So they hold the stones right here because the heart chakra to me, again, is the central point of as above, so below, because you've got 3 above, 3 below, and the heart is the center. Exactly. And so they hold the stones there. And then as we are pulling the energy through the person, they start to weave and wobble. And I say, if you feel like you're going to fall down, grab the chair so I don't have to catch you. And they love it. And I just feel that energy just going through my hands. And if I get them in the wrong hand, oh yes, they tell me wrong hand. So I have to switch them, And so that's what they do. And they're sitting in the little bowl over there with all the other stones for when we go and do this little thing. So those were the first 2 that actually kind of broke through and talked to me and things like that. And the second one that came through also was a quartz, but it was a sphere about this big, but not clear. It's really hard. Just so people know, it's really, really, really hard to find a sphere that's about as big as your hand that is pure quartz, that is real. If it is real, it's very rare, and you're going to pay a lot for it. Most of it is glass, and so sometimes I have a big thing about the integrity of stones, and most of these that people have, they're actually glass, which of course is silica, SiO2, but it's been melted and reformed. It's not actually the stone itself. But anyway, so the next one that came in and jabbered at me, and he told me, which kind of, it's one of those things where we always want to ascribe a certain technique or help or property or something to all of our stones. But what this one said is, you need to tell people to stop judging us. And I'm like, what? Judging you? I said, nobody judges you. Everybody loves you. Everybody wants more of you. If they could lay under piles of you, they would, and they're like, no, tell them to stop judging us. And I said, you're using the wrong word. What do you mean? And so what they said was, well, you know how all of you humans can all draw a stick figure. And my mind was like, or not a stick figure, but the human figure. And I said, yeah, right. Because in my mind, it was a stick figure. And they said, well, yes. They said, but you all can still do it, whether if it's stick figure or the Sistine Chapel and degrees all in between, you all can do it. And that is the nature of the stone. We all can do everything. It's just that some of us, it takes a lot longer to get there. And so, and kind of the point that they were making with that is that sometimes people get a little too overdone with, oh, I have to have this one specific and this specific and this specific, even though maybe get it or something like that. You can do substitutions, because as long as the stone knows what you want it to do, it's going to help you. And so that's always their point was, even if you don't have us, you can, if you don't have the specific thing, you can still go ahead with your manifestation or your healing or whatever you need. It's just some of us will just take a little longer.
Wow.
And so that was something that I thought was kind of important, because I have a lot of books at home. I also teach sacred geometry and that type of stuff. And when I'm looking in these books, there's so many of these grids that are laid out with very, what I call esoteric stones. Some of them I have only ever seen at the gem show in little tiny boxes, and they cost thousands of dollars. And yet here it is on a grid. Nobody can afford these things. And so that's kind of what I do, is make stones and make solutions affordable to the common person, because it doesn't do to make all these fancy books and all these fancy grids with 20 different stones when it's not necessary.
Exactly.
So that's kind of one of my things.
Well, let me just say to the audience, we've opened up the lines in case you have any questions on crystals for Cynthia. And the phone number is 315-559-0331. And it's flashing across the bottom of the screen right now. So in case you have questions, feel free to call in. And Cynthia, I am fascinated by what you're saying, that these stones, crystals, and rocks all have their own personalities. And they also have their own desires, because you're talking about this crystal. What kind of crystal was that was talking to you and saying, we're not going?
Yeah, both of those times they were quartz crystals.
Really?
Yeah, the first two, actually, they were like, sometimes you get they usually come from Brazil, where you've got a main crystal and then you've got one that's growing up straight right beside it. Right. And so they both looked like that, but one was just a little bigger than the other one, but they still had that double crystal, parallel crystal form. And that's why I was like, okay, that's the image that they sent me, but it's like, there's two of you in this box. Because, usually when you see quartz, in clusters, you've got, all the little things going every which way and stuff. But these were very specific of these two crystals growing together. And so that's why I didn't know which one was which. And then the quartz ball that I got that was telling me about don't judge and this and that one. It was funny. It was at the end of the gem show a few years ago. And I kept seeing this blue flash out of the corner of my eye. And I'm like, really? And a friend of mine had been over there, and she came back and she goes, there's this crystal sphere. You should get it. And I said, well, how big is it? And she's showing me like this. I go, I have $7.50 in my pocket. There's no way I can afford this. But that blue flash was very insistent. So I'm like, fine. So I go over there and I look. And I see that it's this quartz sphere that's winking at me with these blue flashes. And I pick it up and I'm like, all right. I said, I know I cannot afford this. So I take it up to the cash register and I go, okay, how much is this stone? They put it on their little scale and they weighed it and they said $7.34.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me right now? And they're like, no, it's the last day of the show, so this is the price. And so I went home with 17 cents left in my pocket. And
that's incredible.
I know. And what's interesting with this one, like I said, he's a good size and he weighs a lot. But whenever I get like chest colds or things like that, it's always very insistent that I put him right in the center of my chest. And I'm like, all right, but you're not going to stay there very long because you're heavy, especially that crystal sitting on the sternum right there.
Yeah.
And so then when I get tired of him there, I just put him beside me on the bed. And of course, I forget he's there and roll over on him in the middle of the night.
Oh,
but,
gosh.
but yeah. And I
That is
actually,
incredible.
yeah. And one stone that I had, well, I didn't have it, but it was another quartz crystal. Now I deal with a lot of stones, all different types, kinds, get them from everywhere, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one day that, and again, it was a larger quartz crystal, just a solid crystal, and pretty big around, and it had a very unusual kind of shape to it and color to it and everything. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. It almost looked like I know if anybody knows what Herkimer quartz looked like, but it almost looked like
Yes.
one of those, but not quite. And so anyway, I was pricing these stones, and that was one of these crystals that was in this collection that came out of somebody's, I don't know, warehouse or storage unit or something, and they wanted to put them on the shelf to sell, and they wanted me to price them for them. So I said, okay. And the second I picked up this stone, I was like, whoa, 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 what is going on with this? And but my eye wanted to take it home because it was such an unusual shape. And when I held it, it was this weird twisty energy that was in it. And I thought, wow, that's weird. I've never felt that before. And so I told the crystal, I said, you know, you're making my job hard here because I need to price this as a retail price, but I really want to underprice you so I can take you home. And so, but the crystal said, you absolutely cannot take me home. And then
Really?
I started to feel something weird in it. And I'm like, what's in you? And he said, something that you cannot be a part of. You cannot take me home. You have to leave me here. And I said, but you need some serious cleaning and stuff. I said, how about if I take you home and bury you in the dirt and leave you there for a year and then come and get you? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He said, because you know what is in here, and you do not want to deal with this. You don't. And I said, but you're going to get sold to somebody else. And they said, that's okay, because the person who buys me will not realize what's in here and they won't release it. And I said, well, if I promise not to release it and I can put you in the ground. And we just said, no, just no, 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 no. And that's the only crystal that I've ever held or met that. What was in there, I don't know. It depends on what you believe. But it seriously felt somewhat demonic, I will say, because it was very twisted energy and it wasn't in the right direction and everything. I mean, it was one of those things that, you know, sort of like the Venus flytrap looks very beautiful, but then once you touch it, you're stuck.
Yeah, you're devoured.
Yes. Yeah.
How fascinating. Now, one of the stones I was going to ask you to talk about tonight is phenakite. Because it looks like quartz, but it's not at all the same as quartz. So tell us about phenakite.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about phenakite, and if anybody's watching that's as old as I am, you may remember it also being called phenacite, because that was the original pronunciation of the stone. So when people come in the store and they ask for phenakite, I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? So I finally had to go and find out, because until recently, it was phenacite. And the reason why is because this stone was originally found in, I think, I don't know, Norway, someplace like that, by a Finnish geologist. And when he found it, he was thinking that it was quartz himself, but then he realized that the crystal structure and everything wasn't. And so he called it, his first name for it was Phoenix. Well, Phoenix in Greek means the deceiver, because it looks so much like quartz, and it fooled him. And that's how the name, a lot of rocks have interesting stories how they get named. And so for some reason, though, they did change it and the spelling to phenakite. But the stone itself is one of the stones of ascension. And so what it does is it's, all right, how do I want to put this here? It's like it's a stone of ascension. It's transformation. And so because they sell this stone as carat weight, if you can get one by a, reputable jeweler or a show or something,
Mhm.
this stone can actually help you with all of these ascension energies that we're all going through and will continue to go through until pick your date. I've heard 2030, 2032,
Mhm.
something like that. But that's
Right.
what it is that
Mhm.
it's a stone of ascension and transformation. So if you also want to use it to transform things in your life or make them more positive, things like that, you can use this stone to do it.
Yes, I've heard that it's very powerful at breaking through
Mm-hmm.
blocks. People have told
Mhm.
me when they've worked with this particular stone that
Mm-hmm.
it's almost scares them because it's that powerful. They can feel these things just melting
Yeah,
away in the
breaking
presence of
down.
phenakite or phenacite. I have one
Yeah.
that I'm wearing right now. I don't know if anybody can see it. My name tag is kind of in the way,
No
Yeah,
but
way.
can't see. Yeah. It's funny. Each
Yeah,
one of us is
it's a
wearing something.
this one is a gemstone cut, but I have two others. One is white and then one is
Mhm.
black. So they do come in different colors, just white or
they,
black, right?
no, actually, what's interesting? The black one is
Mm-hmm.
according to the information, and a lot of the information that I give on the chemistry and things like that
Mhm.
is from a place called mindat.org, which is a mineral data repository of all minerals and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think what you have there is phenacite or phenakite with an inclusion in there. And I'm
Ah,
not sure what the inclusion is because generally speaking, this stone is clear or a pale pink. But the picture that I find of them, like the one I sent you before, also has that gold inclusion in there. So it sounds like it's some kind of an inclusion. And
Mhm.
no,
is that the picture?
that's saffordite.
Sapphire. Okay, we'll try again.
Yeah, the phenacite is yes, that's the one. So you see it kind of has a little bit of gold in there. It's picking
Oh,
up the stone
Yes.
from the back. And so it pulls these minerals in with it. But the base color of phenakite is clear. And so it's inclusions that come in from wherever the crystal is growing that give it this color.
Hmm.
And there's several stones that are like that. Fluorite is notorious for this because
mhm.
fluorite in its purest form is clear. And all of the beautiful
Oh,
colors we see in fluorite come from other chemistry when the crystal is in solution, when it's forming.
oh.
And so,
I didn't
yeah.
realize that. Hmm.
Now, what
So
do people use fluorite for? Because I've heard it's a something to do with heart opening. What would you say?
fluorite is what I call the vitamin stone. Fluorite pretty much cures whatever's ailing you.
That's
It's
nice.
yeah, it's an all-around stone because it comes in so many different colors for one thing, but it's like if you want to use fluorite to clear your third eye crown chakra so you can reach a higher dimension or more communication there, you
Mhm.
can do
Mm-hmm.
that. Blue fluorite is kind of rare, but blue again goes with the throat chakra. Blue also in this fluorite is also for some reason the color of scholarship, of learning, of things like that. And so people who are like studying for exams, taking tests, things
Mhm.
like this, they should have a big blue fluorite, or you can have a multicolored one, maybe more with blue, because that's learning and scholarship and stress
Mhm.
reduction and things like
Mm-hmm.
that while you're doing it. Green tends to be more of a pain, kind of diminish the pain type thing.
More of a healing
Um,
element.
hmm So it's kind of that's why I said it's kind of an all in one thing because
Mhm.
especially when you get those ones that are just multiple colors, blues, greens, purples, clear, yellow, all mixed together, it's sort of like it's a one-stop shopping. You've got like everything right in that one stone. And
Mhm.
it's a very, I call it a medium energy stone because
Mm-hmm.
it just seems to sync with everybody and everybody seems to like it. And so
Yeah.
it's also on one of my top 10 stones you should have in your pocket. So whichever
Mm.
one you get, but I have tons of it. But yeah, so
On my way back to the shop.
Yeah,
yep,
that's right.
yeah, yep. So that's good. And
Now,
also one of
saffordite is one of your favorites, right? The
well,
saffordite.
yeah, it's an interesting stone. It's saffordite is from Safford, Arizona, hence the name for it. And a lot of people that the what do I want to call it? Like the folklore of it is shifting over time now. But what saffordite used to be called was the Sintamani stone. And a lot of people may recognize it as Sintamani stone. And there's many stories about that it was a piece of rock that was part of a planet in the Sirian star system that somehow exploded, and this star bits came, and it came to Earth as a tektite and all of that stuff, that it was part of when the Satan was supposedly cast down to the earth, that his meeting up with the earth created this stone. I mean, there's all kinds of stories about this. But the thing is that saffordite and columbianite and what is that called? Agni Mano or something like that. What they all are is actually what they call pseudo-tektites, which means it's not a tektite, so it's not a thing that exploded from the sky. It's actually volcanic. But it looks like a tektite, and it fools everybody. And
now,
so,
Amanda, you can put that picture up. That was the first one you put up. That's it, right?
Yeah. So that's that one. And so all of these stones that are these what they call pseudo-tektites, and the reason they call it that is because they're so black and they're pitted. But the thing of it is the pitting on these things is almost like, it's sort of like dehydrated obsidian, because they're all a version of obsidian that have just a slightly different chemistry than a tektite would, and that other obsidian has. And some of them, when you find them in the desert, they almost look like little dried up raisins, or they look velvety. They're very unusual stone. And the reason I put the other one there with the kind of the elongated one is because that's a very unusual shape for a saffordite, because usually they're round or some version of round. And then when I put it on the light, because of the legend of the coming from a different star system and stuff, if you look real careful at that elongated face, it's sort of like an alien face. And then where the line is, you can almost see like two little eyes on there. And it just cracked me up when I found this. I said, well, there's the space alien. And so
found him. I'll tell you an interesting story too. We've had Patrice Chaplin on the show a few times, and she wrote a book about Lucifer, and she knew where Lucifer's cradle was, and it was made out of a dark stone like saffordite. And it was huge, but she used to nobody knew where it was except for very few, and she knew, and she would take people there. It was in I think Spain. So she would take them on these expeditions, and they would lie on this stone cradle and get healed and have all kinds of experiences. But it looks a lot like saffordite. Yeah.
Well, as long as it can be seen through, things like that. Saffordite is also called the wishing stone. And so, but going back to the Luciferian story, people have a hard time finding saffordite, but here's the deal. It's so crazy. There's where it's at, there's all other kinds of volcanic black stone. But if you put a saffordite next to just a regular black volcanic stone, the saffordite looks 100 times blacker than the other one. And yet when you put it up to that light, it's clear, or it's pink or orange, or I've got them in all different colors. And I always say that, when I tell people, when I try and teach them how to look for the saffordite on the ground, I said, find a black spot that literally looks like you're going down the road to hell, because it is so dark and so black. And they're like, but what? And I go, look. So I put one down next, and they're like, oh, you're right. It is. And so that's interesting about that.
Yeah,
cradle. I'd be interested. I have to investigate that.
Yeah. Yes. We've been talking about having Patrice back on the show if she'll come. She's over in the UK, but she's got some great stories like that. And it is interesting to hear about the tie-in with stones,
Yep.
you know. So
It's like this amulet that I'm wearing. It's like a cage. You open it up and you can put your stone in it and wear
oh,
it on a
nice.
chain. And so you
Mm-hmm.
can carry it with you all the time.
Yep.
And I just happen to have the black stone in there right now.
Ah,
Yeah. What's interesting too with black stones, because we always attribute black stones to grounding and collecting
Mhm.
negativity and things like that. And what's interesting is they don't all work the same. And that's kind of a cool thing too, because everybody just thinks, oh, if you get black tourmaline, you're good and that's it. Well, black tourmaline is basically a shield stone. And the other thing about black tourmaline
okay.
is if you're using it for grounding, you need to remind it about every other day what it needs to be doing, because it wanders, and it doesn't keep its directions very secure. I mean, if
Oh,
you tell a
that's
quartz
funny.
crystal, this is what I want you to do. I mean, it's quartz is like a record keeper. It'll remember forever. And
Wow.
like I said, well, they're all on the spectrum. So tourmaline is at the other end of the spectrum. And so they tend to lose what they're supposed to be doing in a day or two. But when you look at what tourmaline is and how it is in the earth and stuff, it's sort of like a shield formation. And so tourmaline is good for guarding and for protecting in that sense. Whereas obsidian, which is interesting because there was a guy, Robert J. Gifford, who passed away, I think about a year ago or so, unfortunately, because he was very into doing stones and recalibrating them and really doing some really in-depth work with them. And so he always called obsidian the alchemical firestone, which I thought was very interesting. And
Yeah.
the thing of it is he used to work with the military and all these special, special labs, 14 floors beneath the Pentagon type thing. And anyway, what they did is somehow they measured the ability of the obsidian to sort of like absorb negative energies, because some stones would sort of, okay, we've got enough frequency and we're like all messed up now, you got to clear us out because everything's all messy. But with the obsidian, they never reached that level, and it was like it just could keep absorbing.
Okay.
And that has been always so an interesting thing to me. And so finally the other day I said, well, how is this even possible? But then when I remembered what it was called, this, the alchemical firestone, then all of a sudden it was like, well, duh. So I know, but it's like the obsidian takes in that energy, but it still contains its what do you call it? Its connection to the lava fields where it came from, to the lava, to the heat, and when you think about the earth, it's regeneration, it's recreation. And so it's taking all of these negative energies and shunting it to the earth to find its way to be transformed and to be dealt with in that alchemical fire of transformation. And so that's why I think that it can do all of this because it's like a sinkhole. It just takes it and takes it away.
Incredible.
And
What I
yeah,
just
so
found very interesting with this is you were talking about the stone. The screen where I've been in has been all hazy until I told you that I was wearing the stone and showed it to you, and now everything's clear on the
clear.
screen.
There you go.
Can you believe that?
Proof.
Yes, I can believe that.
Holy cow! But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. And the thing though with obsidian, because they make a lot of scrying mirrors with obsidian. And so when you carry a lot of it or have a lot of it around, you also need to be aware that every once in a while it may tweak you a little bit because it's the mirror and it's showing you back yourself. And so that's why it can be a powerful stone in that way, because it's like, hey, what are you doing over here? That is, if you're in tune enough to hear what it's telling you.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Gosh. What about
And
Alexandrite?
Alexandrite, let's see. That is a stone of balance. And it's also because the reason why is because, in the daylight, it's green, and then in kind of the twilight light or indoor light, it turns a reddish purple color. So it's a
Right.
stone that changes color depending on what light source that it has. And so in a sense, when you look at it, it's kind of a balance. You've got the light, it's green, and the dark, it's red. And so that's a stone that you can wear to sort of keep yourself in balance with a lot of things. And so again, it's one of those stones that's sold by carat weight, usually because they turn it into gems because of
Right.
this special ability that it has. But it also, sometimes you can also find it in just in mineral form. And even if you find it in mineral form, you can still use that as a specimen. You just don't want to put it in your pocket. You also don't want to carry it too much because it's also like phenakite and alexandrite. They're similar stones in that they're a beryllium-based stone. And so anything with beryllium, you kind of don't want to handle a whole lot. I mean, once it's cut and it's polished and things like that, it's okay. But if you have a mineral specimen, especially of the alexandrite, you don't want to be touching it as much. So you can put it by the side of your bed, by your chair, by your computer, you know, that type of thing to get the balance of that energy of that stone.
Cynthia, what
Now-
would you recommend as a good stone to keep a person balanced?
You know, it's the thing is it's kind of depends on the person. And that's a thing because it also comes, balance is also blockages. Because if you're blocked in one way, you're kind of cockeyed out of balance, right? And so you have to determine with the person on a personal level, which I get a lot in the store. And sometimes they go away with the craziest stone because it's a channeled down thing. And I'm like, no, you need this. But this is, no, you need this one. They tell me you need this. So it's like with quartz. With quartz, a lot of quartz deals with the bioelectricity of the body, the biofeedback of the body. And so if your whole body feels out of balance, physically, mentally, mind, body, spirit, if you will, a quartz would be a good one for you to have. Like me, I've had writer's block for like 10 years. I mean, really? But carnelian is a stone that can help release that. So if you're a creative, if you're a person that builds things, makes things, thinks things, because that's working with the sacral chakra. And that chakra is all about creation, planting seeds, new ideas, new things coming up. So if you're blocked in a creative way, you can do that. If you've got issues with karmic issues, past issues, even if it's this lifetime issues that you can't quite, and these are what we call deep blocks inside is bloodstone. The reason why is because, you know, blood is like the power that fuels us, the thing that takes us all around. And what the bloodstone does, first of all, is bloodstone is green jasper. And then the red actually is a type of oxidized hematite. So hematite, hemoglobin, hema is the blood, and that's what flows through us. And so what happens is that green part of it grounds you. Yes, and it's not a black stone. Green stones can do this too. So the green stone grounds you, but then the red is what is like, okay, I'm scrubbing the inside of this person and let's get all of these inner blockages out. Let's just release all of this stuff. And that's when you talk to your stones and you tell them what you want to do, which also brings up a very important thing here. Everybody talks about programming stones. Do not program stones. No. The reason why is because, okay, we say we're a living being because we can move and we can talk and we can do all these things. Well, they're a living being too. We're all in the frequency. We're all in the same sort of soup together here, the soup of creation and all that is and everything. And so that's what they are too. So what you want to do is ask them. Just tell them, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to help me with, and set a time limit. Because, okay, yeah, black tourmaline, they're going to forget in about 2 days. But for the most part, the stones themselves have memory. And they will remember that, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this for this person. And if you don't release them, it's like they're going to be doing this for all eternity, whether they need to or not.
Hmm.
And but programming, in a sense, the way it's done, it takes away sort of their free will of being, in a sense. And so
Mhm.
that's why we need to work with them, not as, I don't know, I always see like this little servant stone, but we need to treat them like as friends and part of the family. And it's like, okay, for 2 weeks,
That
from
makes
this date
sense.
to this date,
Yeah.
will you help me with this problem? And then in 2 weeks, if you get busy and you forget to go and release them from your request or things like that, it just automatically releases. And which is different from cleaning your stones. This is the request. The request will expire in the time. And so that's why I tell people, don't lock them up so tight that they can't live again doing something else or for somebody else, or you know what I mean? So
Right.
Oh
that's
yeah,
that.
that's great
Mhm.
advice. Well,
I
also
So that.
because you don't want to think that you're not going to reach your goal. So it's important to put a time frame on it.
Mhm. Mhm.
That
You were-
whatever it is you're asking for help, it's going to come to an end when you get what you need, and maybe it's a week or 2 weeks you ask for.
Right.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
what about one question I have is about Vogel crystals, Marcel Vogel. He used to have a special way to cut them. What do you think about those?
Well, when I was, like I said, when I took the listened to the information from Robert Gifford, it was very interesting because those are such precision cut crystals and everything like that. And a lot of what those were used for, in a sense, is to clear things and clear things out and different frequencies and things like that. The problem is that he used to have a laboratory where these things were cut, and they were different. You could get 16s, 32, 64s, whatever, you wanted. And it was very precision cut by very precision people that knew how to do this. And right now, he's passed on. The laboratory that he used to have these done at or cut, from what I understand, is it's kind of not out of business totally, but it's not in business either. It's like if you ask for one, you might get one. And the problem is I have seen way too many fake crystals out there and things like that.
Right.
And so
Yes.
I really, unless you really have like a certificate or something from this place that used to cut them, I kind of wouldn't even go there anymore to a
Mhm.
point. I mean, if you know for sure that it came from him and from his studio that used to cut them, I mean, it's like at the gem show this last time, there were trays of these crystals and they were cut like a Vogel is cut. And everybody was like, "Oh, look, a Vogel crystal, a Vogel crystal." Well, is it or not?
No.
And
Yeah.
when I actually,
How would
yeah,
you
and
know?
when I picked the stuff up, it's like the resonant frequencies weren't there. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that it was a pretty high dollar resin is what these were made out of,
Oh
because of the way that,
no.
because of the way that a Vogel crystal is like perfectly clear. Of all the ones that I've seen that I know are real, they're perfectly clear, perfectly polished quartz. But these, some of them had little odd streaking in them, little bubbles, little something. And I'm like, no, no, no,
Oh,
no, no, no,
gee.
no.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
How
yeah,
would you?
and here's the other thing too about the stones that I'm working on right now is, we're all going through ascension and raising our frequencies and going into different frequencies. Well, the earth is doing the same thing. And so I think a lot of the things that we've had in the past that work a certain way or this or that, those things are going to be shifting as well. And so that's why I'm like, some of the older stone technologies, I think in my opinion that they're kind of, that was then and this is now. And there's a lot of things that I've noticed when just even having this shop that I would say, oh, well, I guess I better, like, I don't know, herbs or this or that. It would be like, for me personally, it's like, no, you've been there, you've done that. Do this now. This is where you are. And so I'm like, okay. And so
That's where you're
that's
supposed to
kind of,
be.
So that's kind of what
Cynthia,
I'm doing.
let me ask you, because I know people are going to want to know if they can get a crystal from you. And also, if even long distance, you can meet with them on Zoom or whatever and find the right crystal for them. Is that something that you do?
I haven't done the Zoom thing yet. As far as doing that, it's just a time thing. But if they want to contact me through the email, that would be the best way, because then we can either say, okay, well, let me call you, or let me, do something like that. But yes, they can. I have a whole warehouse back here
And she
of all
does.
kinds of things, all kinds of crystals, all kinds of
Well
stuff.
talking.
Yeah. And
It's
everybody's like,
heaven to me
if
to
you
walk
never,
in.
yeah, they said, if you never bought anything else, you would have stuff for 10 years. And I'm like, no, not that long. But, but, but yeah, because the website's it's in a flux right now. But yes, so what I would do is they can contact by email. And then once we've made contact through email, if they want something specific and I have it, then I can certainly take a photograph of it, show them how big it is, against a ruler and things like that. And we can totally ship things from here. That's not a problem. Or if there's a little question they have or something, a lot of problems right now too for people is they buy stuff online or at shows and things like that, and they're getting totally ripped off because what they want to buy is not real. It's forgeries.
Hard to tell. Yeah.
It's hard to tell. And the thing is, it's getting so bad that even people that buy flats of minerals for mineral collections, for people that collect, even they're managing to trick some of these people out of thousands and thousands of dollars. And usually if it's a buyer for like a high-end mineral store or something, they have buyers that go all over the world. And a couple of years ago here, a guy bought this flat of minerals or so many flats for like $20,000. But when he got back to his hotel room, he kept looking at them and opening the boxes, and something just kept saying something is wrong, something's wrong. So I don't know if he travels with a little assay chemistry kit or something, but somehow he figured out that what these guys had sold him was a total fabrication.
Oh, no.
So he took all this back to them and said, hey, you need to give me my money back. And they were like, no. So police and everybody, he got about half of it back. But yeah, there's a real problem with that.
Fakes.
So the stones that I would watch for are, like some of the ones we've talked about, the phenakite, the alexandrite, the gemstone stuff, moldavite. You buy those from reputable jewelers. Also be careful of amber, malachite. They're coming out with these crazy looking things made out of sulfur that they're just unbelievable. And they're also coming out with composite rocks. It's like they take one and then they glue one and glue another one to it. And people think that all these crystals have magically grown on this rock naturally. But if you actually know the stone that you're looking at, it's like, no, this came from South America. This came from, Australia. This one came from someplace else, and they're mixing chemistries, and it's becoming a big problem.
Yeah, that is an awful thing.
Gosh.
Well,
Cynthia, how do
Cynthia,
you recommend clearing and cleansing the stone these days?
Yeah, I mean, the stones really like to go outside if they can. So either under a full moon or a new moon, they like to go out there. That's their preferred way. Absolutely do not put them in salt water. I know that this is a common practice. The problem is, okay, if you're sure that your little stone is very hard polished and there's no cracks, no dimples, no divots, no anything in your stone, you can use a salt water. But just remember, salt, sodium chloride, is a mineral. And it can react with stones, and it can get in the cracks, in the divots, and it will start to corrode your stone from the inside out. That's why I don't advise salt water, which I know people do. You can put them on a salt bed if you want to, but then I would rinse them before you use them again. But they like to go outside. You can also sage them or put dragon's blood incense over them. You can do that. Me, because I have to sometimes clear people's stones real quick in the store. I can't do these things. And so it's kind of a weird thing, but I put the stone in the left hand, and with the right hand, it's like I can feel this energy in them, and I can pull it out, and then I, like the obsidian, I send it to the ground to be transformed and pulled out of their stone. And so if you're a person that is in tune with the stones enough, you can do that. And it's always in threes. So I pull across the stone 3 times and dump it 3 times. And then I do that whole thing 3 times. So it's like clear, 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 clear,
Yeah.
clear.
Clearing
like this.
ritual. That's wonderful.
Uh-huh. Because every time that you pull it away from the stone, it's like you're pulling the cobwebs and that bad energy or slow energy, whatever's in there, out of it, send it down to be transformed.
Do you
So
ever
are
do
the best.
sessions where you actually talk to other people's collections for them and tell them what the crystals have to say?
Yeah,
I
usually
would love that.
Usually it's their pocket stones, and they usually have to, be here where I am. I don't know whether I've never tried it long distance. It's possible.
I think you should, because you know what? I mean, I think that it would be so much fun to find out what your crystal collection has to say.
Mine is saying, you need a new shelf. They're so crammed in there, but
it is wonderful. It's great when you walk in her shop. It's like, it's wonderful. I have people who come in and they literally, they just want to sit in here and stay all day long. And so someday, I always tell them, someday when I have a bigger shop and all this stuff, I'm going to put those air chairs up, and they can just go sit in the air chair and just absorb all the crystals and that thing. But yeah, the ceilings around here, no, I don't have the space. But what's interesting is what I do with pocket stones with people, or a piece of jewelry or whatever. And, some people, they still don't want anybody to touch their stones, and that's fine too. But the ones that are okay with it, I'll take their pocket stone. And one of the, my sister actually told a bunch of people at the gem show once, while I was trying to buy stuff, what I did. I had a line. I looked up and I'm like, what? They said you could read pocket stones. We all have pocket stones. Oh my gosh. I think I stood there for an hour.
I bet. Yeah. See, people love that.
Yeah. Sure. And the one that was very interesting is was in that line of people, is the second I took a hold of that stone, because the stones, some people
we're going to have to wrap. I'm sorry, but I'm getting the message that we're going to have to wrap. We're going to have you back, because you've got such wonderful stories to share. Definitely. And maybe you can talk to our crystals for us in the meantime. And everybody, you know how to get a hold of Cynthia now. So feel free. And if you're in the Tucson area, you've got to go to her shop. Give us the name again. It's Mystic Cavern Metaphysical.
Mystic Cavern Metaphysical. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. And we'll be back next week, everybody, with another great show. And until then, we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.